So welcome to the class, and it's our third week of being online and not in the studio, which is hard to believe the third week is beginning. And you know, at that time, I thought this might last 2 or 3 weeks, but it's looking like that's not going to be the case. So we're hunkered down, and I'm hearing from a lot of people that they feel like they should be doing more, getting more done. And I want to say that it's okay to do nothing. It's okay to not be creative or to not be productive during this time. So my dog is a little distracting. I left the pets out because they've been holed up a lot of the day, and we'll see if they're too distracting to stay out. Right. So as I was saying, to really give yourself permission to not create, to not be super abundantly excellently getting everything done in your house. This is not vacation, right? This is really a time of survival. We're all in our homes trying to survive, and our survival instinct at some level kicks in this kind of situation. So give yourself permission, be good to yourself, and don't should all over yourself. You heard that term, right? I should do this, I should do that. Just you should not do that. All right, so today we're going to be working a little bit with balance and just kind of going through the body and warming things up. We're going to start seated, so you can either sit on a chair or on the floor or a cushion, whatever is comfortable for you. If you have a couch handy, as I do here, you can always sit on your couch. The beauty of practicing at home. There she is. So we'll start with the breath awareness. So if you're sitting on a chair, feet flat on the floor, and you want to be sitting up so that your weight is over your sit bones. So you're not slumped back. Just going to shut the fan off here. So you're not slumped back onto your tailbone. So you can maybe even feel the difference, whether you're sitting on a chair or on the ground. You can kind of roll your spine back a little bit and roll back upright. So roll back, feel how when you slump, your weight kind of sinks to your tailbone. And as you come back upright, you maybe feel those 2 points. It depends how soft the surface is that you're sitting on. So if it's really soft, like a couch, you may not feel those points of contact, but if you're on a harder surface, you likely will. Good, so let's, once we've found that nice upright position, you can close your eyes. If you prefer to keep them open, just cast your gaze down. And come into a feeling of noticing your body. So feel where your feet make contact with the ground or legs or whatever part of your lower body is on the ground. Feel your sit bones again. Notice where your hands are resting, where you feel that pressure. And then start to tune into the rhythm of your breath. So you don't have to do anything special with your breath. Just notice that you are breathing. Pardon me, I hope that wasn't too loud. And then let's add a little bit of movement so that when we're seated and we do the cat-cow movement, we can feel the movement of the pelvis. So you can bring your hands onto your thighs or your knees, and you're going to lift the chest, and you'll tilt the pelvis forward a little bit, so come towards your pubic bone. And then you're going to round your back and sink your weight towards your tailbone. Let your head come down. And then lift up. So you're rolling over the sit bones toward the pubic bone, and then rolling back over the sit bones toward the tailbone. Breathing in as you lift the chest and roll forward with the hips. Exhaling as you round the back and move back toward the tailbone. Great. Let's come back to a neutral spine now. If you're sitting on a chair, you might take your feet just a little wider to help keep your balance, but you can also do this sitting cross-legged or on the ground any way you're comfortable. So we'll move the torso in a circle, moving it toward one leg, toward the other leg, and back up to the center. So noticing where you feel the movement, where you feel a little stretch or a little opening, and then eventually go the other way around. Right, and then again, come back to the center. So again, you want to feel the weight on your sit bones, not slumping back. Like how my owl tells me, I can see myself in the screen, and when I slump back, he gets kind of crumpled. So you want to be nice and tall, lifted through the chest. And you can take the shoulders up and roll them back and down a few times. There's a whole pet party going on at my house that you can't see, but they may move it over here at some point. So let the shoulders relax, and we'll do little movements for the head. So turning to one side and then sweeping the chin across the front of your chest, come up to the other side, and then turning back the other way. Go side to side, take your time. If you find places that are a little tighter than others, you might pause there. Maybe do some little circles around that tight area. Right, and then bringing the head back to the center. So we'll make our way to a standing position. So take your time, get up however works for you. And if you like to use a chair to limit the amount of forward bending you do, you can have your chair somewhere near the front of your mat, and otherwise you can just have no props or blocks if you like to use blocks. So let's come to mountain pose to begin with. So your feet are roughly parallel to one another and about hip distance apart. So they're underneath your hips. And then sink your weight back into your heels a little bit. And then rock your weight forward onto the balls of your feet. And then sink back and come forward. Good. And then find a position where you're fairly even between the fronts and the backs of your feet, for the balls of your feet and your heels, but put just a little bit more weight into your heels so that you have engagement in the thighs and the knees. So the knees are drawn up, the thighs are engaged, and that draws the hips back over the heels. When we rock to the front of the feet, we tend to throw the hips forward. So this way we lengthen the lower back, hips over the heels, shoulders over the hips. And ideally, your ears are over your shoulders. So if your head tends to be forward, it's putting a lot of pressure on the neck. You want to bring the chin back a little bit and even slightly down so the back of the neck is long. So this is mountain pose. So from here, we'll turn the palms forward, take a breath in and let the arms float up overhead. You can find a little bit of lift in the chest maybe, and then exhale as the arms come down, let the hands come to face the body, let the head release down. So inhale, we'll lift the arms, lift the heart, and then exhale, lower the arms, lower the head. If you find my breath rhythm doesn't work with your breath rhythm, follow your own breath. And if that makes your movements too fast or too slow, just breathe normally. And one more here. Right, this time when the arms come down, you'll just lift the head back to center. And we'll take the feet a little bit apart. Bring the hands to the hips and do a few circles around with your hips. I know through all of this, some people have been doing more sitting than usual. Some have been doing more walking than usual. We're going to put a little bit of emphasis on the legs today to bring some strength and flexibility there. Right, so as you come back to the center, you can keep the feet wider or bring them wherever they're comfortable, and we'll roll the shoulders. So one shoulder rolls back and let the whole body twist. You can even lift the opposite heel and then other shoulder. So dance like no one's watching. Just really let your body go. You can lift the arms if you like. They can come overhead or just the elbows. Just let your body move. Find some flow. I missed it the other night, but there was an online dance party, I think, everyone dancing in their own living rooms. So lots of fun stuff going on online. So find your inner dancer for a moment and just let it go. Right, and then start to make the movements a little slower, a little smaller, gradually making your way back to the center, to relative stillness. We're never completely still. And you can bring the feet back in underneath your hips, sink your weight back into your heels a little bit. Find that openness across your shoulders. We're going to bring in a forward bend now. So lifting up with the breath in, arms overhead. You'll bend your knees a little, exhale. You can come forward any amount that suits you. Try to really relax your head down and then come all the way up, breathing in. Again, coordinate your breath or not as works best for you. Forward with an exhale, up with an inhale if you are coordinating. We're going to add a half forward bend this time, so you can slide the hands up to the knees or shins, and you want to come to a position where you're not really, your arms aren't locked and straight. You keep the arms a little bit bent. Tail lifts, head lifts slightly, chest lifts. So this position with the hands on the knees is well supported. This position out here is a little more effort, and this position out here is even more effort. So we're going to move from a forward bend into one of those three positions. So we'll slide forward, exhaling, and then coming up either hands to knees, out to the side or overhead as you breathe in, and then exhale, forward again. Your forward might just be back, hands to knees, or it might be hands to your chair. Good, eventually you'll come all the way up with one of those half lifts. You'll lift yourself all the way up and then release to bring the arms down to your sides. Right. Seeing a little note on my screen that says the internet is unstable, so I might freeze from time to time. If I get kicked out of the call and come back in, it sometimes mutes my microphone. If you ever don't hear me, please unmute yourself and say, I can't hear you. That way I try to notice when that happens, but I don't always. So let's shift the weight to one foot, come onto the toes of the other foot, and then bend your standing leg a little bit. So you feel the leg working a bit, and then shift to the other side. So you shift your weight, bend a little bit, shift. And we're back. I find it very ironic that I just said that and it happened. The power of suggestion. All right, so it looks like everyone's here that was here before, plus Bonnie's back. Hi, Bonnie. All right, so I think I unmuted myself. Everything should be working again. So where were we? Oh yes, we were walking from foot to foot. So let's go back there, just lifting one heel, and then you can start to walk on the spot, lifting one foot. So you can test out your balance. Great, and then let's bring both feet down. And for this one, you're probably gonna wanna look at something that's not moving. Maybe don't look at the screen, look over it or beside it, and we'll press into the balls of the feet and lift the heels up. Good, balance there if you can, and then slowly lower your heels down. So lifting and lowering. Good, and we can add an arm movement. So as we lift the heels, the arms lift. See if you can lower your heels as slowly as you lower your arms. It's kind of tricky. Definitely looks easier than it is. So if you lose your balance a little bit, that's okay. Just come back into it. Great. And then we'll let the heels sink down again, come back to mountain pose. And for the next one, we'll lift the arms up. And this time, as you bring the arms down, you're going to shift your weight to one foot, and you can lift the knee, either just touch the thigh or you can hug the knee. All right, it's happening again. This is my 4th class today, and this is the first time I've really had issues. So we are going to persevere, and if it just keeps cutting out every 2 minutes, I'll try switching it over to my cell phone data, and then I might just have to record the class and send out the link later. So if I lose you all, I'll still record the class. I'll send it out to you later. Okay, so try and stay with me if you can. I like the company. So we're going to lift the arms up with a breath in. Exhale, bring one knee up. Any amounts. You could keep your toes on the floor if you need to, or you can lift the knee right up. And then we'll bring the foot down, lift the arms up, and switch to the other side. So if you want to coordinate breathing, inhale up. Exhale as you lift the knee. Inhale as the foot comes down, arms go up. And exhale as you lift the knee. Good. If you can, try staying here for a few breaths. Again, it could be toes on the ground or just a slight lift, or you might be comfortable bringing the knee right in. Make sure you're breathing. Don't hold your breath. Good. Foot down, arms up, breathing in. Other side. Now, don't worry if you lose your balance. That's all part of it. It's really normal. So if you fall down, you just bring your foot down, come back into it. Great, and then foot down, arms up, breathe in. And exhale to release the arms down. So we're going to add on to this and add a little bit of a warrior sequence. If you want to, if it's comfortable for you from warrior to bend forward to a chair, you could have a chair here. If it's more, if it's kicked me out for less time then. All right, so I'm not sure what you heard, but if you're comfortable with your hands coming to the floor in warrior, you don't need props. If you've got props and you need them, you can have them near the front of your mat. So I'm going to use the chair, but you could also just take your hands to the ground. So if you're using a chair, be a little bit back from the chair. We'll take a breath in and lift the arms. And then exhaling, one knee comes up. That same leg, you're going to step back and turn the foot to the side so the whole foot comes down. So you're now in warrior one. Right. From warrior one, we're going to move dynamically into a forward bend. So you can come forward, either your hands to the knee, to the blocks or floor, or to the chair. And then you'll lift back up. So you're inhaling up if you're coordinating your breath. Exhale, forward. Inhale up. Exhale, forward. Good. Inhale up. We're going to stay upright now and feel both of your feet on the ground. Press into your back leg so you feel that you're strong from the hip all the way down to the heel. Shoulders down. Find a little lift in your heart. Good. And then we'll step onto the front foot as you bring the arms down. You can bring the knee forward. Let the foot come down as the arms lift up. And then release the arms to your sides. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Inhaling, arms lift. Exhale, knee comes in, any amount. Step back, just a small step so you feel really grounded here. And then we'll move into the forward bend. So you'll exhale forward and inhale to lift. And continue a few more times. As always, coordinating the breath is optional, but breathing itself is not optional. So you can always just breathe freely, do the movement at a comfortable pace. And this time when you come upright, you'll stay upright. And again, press into your back foot. So engage that back leg, drop on the knee, press down into the heel, feel the hip, shoulders down. And we'll step onto the front foot. Find your balance there, bring the back knee in. And as you release the foot, lift the arms. And let's come to a forward bend. So you can either take your hands to your legs or to your chair or down toward the ground. Let your head really go here. So often in a forward bend, we're kind of still looking forward. Drop the head down, let it go. So in a survival state or a state of crisis, we tend to be hypervigilant, looking around. And even though we might not feel that way at every moment, something inside of us, may still be a little vigilant. So see if you can let that go. Give your body the message that you're safe. As long as you feel safe in your space. I feel safe now because my cat is napping. You're going to bend the knees, inhale, lift all the way up. Good. Exhale and release. So we're going to add on to that little bit of a sequence that we've been doing. So again, if you're struggling with balance today, don't lift the leg, just keep the toes on the ground. So it's better to be in a position where you're feeling steady, you're feeling comfortable than trying to do the full pose and wobbling all over the place. So there's just not as much value in that. So from our mountain pose, again, pressing down. Whoops, I stopped my video. Sorry, guys. Pin video, don't stop video. All right, so it must be a really busy time on the internet. I think last week we had a lot of trouble with this class as well. So I actually don't know when we cut out. So we're going to start the sequence from the start. So feet together, side by side, hip distance apart. Take the arms up with a big breath in. Exhale, knee to chest or in that direction. Step back, warrior one. Good, and then arms to the side. So we're going to step onto the front foot, find a little lift in the chest. You can bend your elbows if that helps. So shoulder blades move in and down. And then you could either lift the back leg or engage through the back body as if you were going to lift the leg, but don't actually lift it if you find that's too much for you. Good, then step back, lift the arms. Good, and then we're going to step forward and bring the leg forward again. Foot comes down, arms lift. Good, and exhale, arms down. Great. See, we're still together. We'll try the other side. Inhale, lift. Good, exhale. Other knee in. Step back with an inhale. We'll take our time to set up the next pose. It's sort of, we'll call it warrior 1.5 maybe, or 2.5, moving toward warrior 3. So you're coming onto the front foot. You're finding a little lift in the heart, drawing the shoulders down. You can bend the elbows if that helps. And then maybe lift the back leg. Good. Step back, warrior 1. Stepping forward to bring the knee in, any amount. Foot down, arms up. And releasing. So we'll do that same sequence again. This time we'll have the option of adding warrior 3. So warrior 3, just so you know where we're going, from this position, as we lift the back leg, we can also start to tip the body forward. And while you're still able to see me, I want to explain. So we don't want to round here. We want to keep lifting. So the leg is lifting, chest is lifting. So if that means that you're more upright, totally fine. If it means you're more forward, fine. And if this works better for you, holding on absolutely please do. It could be a counter, chair, whatever you've got handy. Okay? So again, feeling grounded through the feet, heels sinking, thighs lifting, shoulders dropping down, chest open. Inhale, lift your arms. Exhale, bring one knee in, step back, warrior one. This might be enough for you, just being in warrior one today. Stay here. If you want to go further, arms to the sides, take your weight onto your front foot. Again, you could lift the back leg or keep it there. And if you want to go further, letting your upper body come forward. Again, if you've got support there and you want to use it, feel absolutely free. And think about lifting the chest and lifting the legs. So you're really engaging the back body. Good, I can hear your effort from here. Good, step back, warrior one. And we're gonna add a forward bend. So letting the hands come to the thigh or the shin, the chair or the floor, whatever works for you. And again, let your head relax. All right, one more breath here. And then when you come up, we'll lift up to warrior one first. We'll step onto the front foot, bringing the knee in toward the chest. And then foot comes down, arms reach up, and then both arms down to your sides. We got through that one without losing each other, so we'll try the other side. Inhaling up. Exhale, bringing the knee in. Stepping back, warrior one. And we'll take our time here, taking the arms to the sides, stepping onto the front foot and finding your balance. Keep a little softness in that knee. If you lock it, you're going to be much more wobbly. Lift the back leg if that's available to you. And then if you like, you can start to move forward as you lift the leg. And again, using whatever support might be available and helpful. Keep lifting the chest, lifting the leg. It doesn't matter how high, you just don't want to be rounded here. Good, step back, arms overhead, and then forward bend. So any version, take a few breaths here. Let your head release again. So just releasing the head can actually give a message to the nervous system that we're safe, that we're okay. And in that dropping of the head and that message to the nervous system, the whole body can start to settle a bit. Let's lift up now, breathing in. Great, and then step onto your front foot. Find your balance there, bring the knee up, and then foot down, lift the arms, and exhale to release. Nice. Let's do a few forward bends. We'll take the feet just a little bit wider apart. Soften your knees, and you just bounce here, let your arms go. Okay, and we'll take a breath in and reach up. As you come forward, you can bring your hands either to your thighs if you want support or behind your back. Palms on the facing up on lower back, and then lift up with a breath in, raising overhead with the arms and forward. And a couple more at your own pace. Right, and we'll come all the way up again and release the arms down to the sides. Let's take the feet right in under the hips again, so they're about hip distance apart. So for most people, that's about the size of your fist. If you were to bring your fist between your feet, it's about that distance. Sometimes we interpret hip width as the outer hips, and they can be quite a bit wider than the bones of the hips. So it's lining up the bones, sinking into your heels. So we'll lift up with a breath in. We're going to come into the half squat. So as you come down, you'll bend your knees. Keep your chest lifted. Bring your hands to your thighs as if you're going to sit in a chair, and then you change your mind and you lift up. Good. Exhale again, keeping lifted through the upper body as the hips come down. Good again. Great. Let's stay a few breaths this time. So when you're staying, try not to kind of hunch your shoulders up and put all your weight into your hands. You can even lift the hands or bring them out front if you want to work a little harder. And if you want to work even harder, raise your arms up and sink your hips down while you lift the chest. Just make sure your knees are not feeling a strain here. And breathe. One more breath. And then lifting all the way up. And we'll release forward. So you can bring the hands or the elbows to the thighs, or let the arms hang down. Maybe hold the arms with your hands if you like. So whatever version of a forward bend that feels good to you after all of that effort of the last few sets of poses. Again, let your head go. A couple more breaths here. Okay, and then lift all the way up, reaching overhead, and exhale to release. All right, so we're going to make our way down to the ground. So if you've got a chair nearby, just get that out of the way. And we're going to come to lie on our backs. So just take your time to get there. I suppose you could do this on a better couch, but having the firmness of the floor is likely a better option for most yoga poses. But again, you can participate, in the way that suits you always, but certainly it's even easier from home. So as you come down, you can have your knees bent. You might want to wiggle your feet apart a little bit, let your knees fall together. And we're going to take just a little mini rest here. So let your hands come onto your body, or they can rest on the ground if you prefer. But when the hands are on the body, you're usually a little more able to feel the rhythm of your own breath. So you can close your eyes. If you prefer, you can always keep your eyes open. Closing the eyes tends to limit the distractions. And simply follow your breath. Notice that you're breathing. There's nothing special you need to do. You don't need to produce anything. You don't need to be anything special or be creative or make something or share anything on Facebook Live. Just keeping ourselves fed and safe and not going nuts is absolutely enough. And take a few more breaths here. Let your body sink and settle. Let go of any shoulds that arise. Allow yourself as much as possible to just be. And then when you're ready, you'll bring the knees up in toward your body. You can place one hand on each knee and draw the knees in toward you, and then straighten your arms to move your knees away from you. So it's just this little back and forth movement. You can coordinate your breath if you like. Inhale as the knees go away, and that gives space for the breath to expand. And then as we bring the knees in, it's like we're squeezing the breath out. Great. Next time your knees come in towards your chest, you can keep a hold of one knee, bring the other foot to the floor, and extend that leg straight out on the ground. Activate that leg by pressing the heel down. So you feel the muscles of your legs engaged. right? And then we want to engage the muscles of the abdominal area and imagine drawing the lower back to the ground and like you're drawing into the center from the outsides of your waist. And then if it feels like you can do this without straining, try lifting the straight leg an inch or two off the ground. Really check in that you're not bringing tension into your neck, face, jaw, shoulders. That is really focused in the abdominal area. You can always take a break and lower the heel anytime you feel tension coming in or you feel like you're straining. And then we'll slowly lift that leg up. As it comes up, you might need to bend the knee a little bit to be comfortable here. And once the leg comes up over the hip, there's generally not as much effort there. So then we can stay here and circle the ankle. One way, then the other. And then again, press out through the heel and slowly lower that leg down. If it feels like too much, if you're tensing up, just bend the knee and bring the foot down first, and then you can slide the leg straight out. All right, let's release the leg that you had into the chest. Stretch that leg out and take your arms and stretch them overhead. Grow along through both feet, both hands, all the way through the body. A big breath in, and then as you exhale, you can bring the opposite leg in towards your chest. So whichever one was straight before, you'll now bend that knee. And the other leg you're going to activate by pressing the heel down and feeling the thigh engage, front and back of the thigh. And then again, using the muscles of your core, not your neck, not your face, or your shoulders or jaw, you could try lifting the leg an inch or two off the ground. Again, if it feels like too much, lower the leg. So there's no value in being in a pose that creates tension and strain in your body. That's the opposite of what we're really working on here. Effort is one thing, right? Tension is something quite different. Let's slowly lift the leg. And there's sometimes a fine line between effort and tension, right? So sometimes it's hard to tell. So when in doubt, best to back off. You can bend the knee a little as it comes up and then circle that ankle around. Go one way and then the other. Right, and then press the heel up, and again, you can slowly lower the leg, or if it feels like a strain, you can bend the knee to bring it down with more ease. When you get just above the ground, you could stay there for a few breaths again if you like. And then when you lower that leg, you can release the other leg and stretch your arms up over your head and reach out through your fingers and toes. You can reach one heel away and the same hand reaching away, and then the other heel and hand. So like you're alternating, growing the sides of your body long. Right, and then come back to the center. Slowly release and lower your arms down to your sides, and we'll bend the knees and bring the feet to the floor. Let the arms rest on the ground a little bit away from your body. Palms can face the ceiling. Arms relax. So there's nothing that your arms need to do right now. Let them go. Just find a comfortable position. You can shuffle them around a bit till you feel like you can let them relax. And then bring your feet in so that you feel that your heels line up more or less under your knees. It could be a little further apart if that's better for your knees, or further away from your hips if that's better. Under the knees if that's available to you. So from here, we're going to start by pressing the feet into the ground. Lower back moves down into the ground, and then start to pick up your sacrum, so the pelvis, and then slowly lifting up along the vertebrae to come to wherever that lift feels right for you. And then you'll slowly release and lower down. Don't worry about your breath, just breathe normally. You can pause for a moment as you come down and check in again that your arms and shoulders are relaxed. And then when you're ready, you can start to lift again. So you're peeling the spine up off the ground and then releasing to lower back down. Couple more times at your own pace, really noticing if you're bringing tension into your shoulders and arms, letting it go as you're able. Good. If you like, you can stay in the pose for a few breaths. That's going to ask your legs to work a little bit more. So if your legs are already feeling tired from the work we've done, you can come down anytime. You want to feel engaged through the back of the hips, through the buttocks, lengthening from the shoulders to the knees and the top line of the body, and softening the arms, hands, face, neck. And when you're ready to release, slowly lower down. Take your time. When you get there, you can bring your knees up in toward your chest. And a little forward and back movement again. So inhaling, straightening your arms, knees move away. Exhaling, bend your elbows, knees come in. Okay, and then as you're ready, bring your feet to the floor. Have the feet a little bit wider apart than your hips, just a little bit. Not necessarily as wide as your mat, but somewhere between hip width and mat width. And then arms to your sides. And we'll work with the twist here. So when the legs are a little further apart, there's more twist in the hips. When the legs are a little closer together, it is more into the spine. So we're going to start with feet further apart, letting the knees come to one side. If you like, you can turn your head the opposite way. And then you'll bring the knees back to center and switch sides. So if you want to coordinate breath, inhale center, exhale as you go to either side. Great, and then eventually we'll come back to the center. For the next one, it will be definitely helpful if you have a cushion or a blanket to support your head. It could be just a pillow from your bed even would be just fine. Anything that's handy, really. So you're going to bring that under your head. And we're going to come into a twist, but if you're on a mat, you want to stay on the mat. So to twist to one side, we're going to shift the hips a little bit the opposite way. So let's all take the hips a little to the right, and then you can bring the knees together and bring the knees down to the left, and you roll right onto your left side. And then adjust your pillow so that you fill up all of that space between your head and the ground so that your neck is really happy here. And then you're going to take both arms and stretch them straight out from your shoulders, one palm on top of the other. So your hands are on the ground, the back of your left hand on the ground and your right hand on top. Good. So take a moment to reach your right fingertips a little bit beyond your left fingertips, and then breathe into your upper back. And then we're going to work a little bit with the shoulder now. So your right shoulder. I'm going to make a circle around the body over the head. And you can imagine you're drawing a line with your right fingertips on the ground. So bring your fingertips to the ground, trace up towards your head. If your shoulders are tight, or if this shoulder's tight, bend your elbow as you draw the circle behind your head. You'll let the right shoulder come toward the ground as the arm comes down towards your hip and circles all the way around your body. So over your head, like you're drawing a big circle around you, the arm will come down to the right side, down toward your right hip, and back around. Great. Maybe one more circle here. Right. And then when you come back, just take the palm of your right hand. You can bring it to the floor just to anchor you a little bit here. And then we're going to work with the legs a little bit with a clamshell kind of movement. So your feet will stay together and you'll lift the knee. So your right knee will lift up and then come down just like a clamshell opening. So feet stay together, knees coming apart. So you're lifting and lowering. You can do this a few more times. Right. And then what we'll do is we'll take that right knee and bring it up towards your chest. And if it's comfortable, you can bring the knee down to the ground in front of you. So coming up toward your chest and down toward the ground. And then you can take your right hand onto your hip and just give a little massage into the hip. So just that sort of in between the bones of your hip, you can feel a little groove there. You can massage in there where you probably felt the muscles working. Right. And then when you're ready, you'll bring the knees back side by side. You can roll onto your back and shift your whole body back to center. And then we're going to turn to the other side. So I'm just going to rotate on my mat so that I'm still facing the screen just in case I get kicked out again. I'll actually notice. And definitely feel more connected to you when I'm facing that direction. So we're going to start on the side. So you can, if you started on your back, shift your hips to the left this time, bring your knees down to the right, and then hands on top of one another out in front of you. So you can reach the top hand a little further away, breathe into the space between your shoulder blades for a few breaths. And then again, you can make that circle overhead, bending your elbow if you feel strain at all in your shoulder. So it'll just come over your head, down by your hip, across the body and back to the other hand. And you'll do a few more circles like that. Take your time. There's no rush here. There's no special way to breathe. Just breathe normally. And then when you come back to the side, you can just take your left hand and place the palm on the ground just to support you a little bit as we work with the legs. So now lifting and lowering the knee, keeping the feet together. And maybe a couple more here. Great. And then as the knees come back together, you can take that top leg, bring it up toward your chest. And if it's comfortable, just let the leg rest on the ground. If not, you can just keep the legs together where they were. This just opens the hip a little more, and you can either use your fingertips or your palm to a little massage to wherever you might have felt some engagement there with that last movement. We only did a few of those clamshells. You'd feel it a little more if you did a few more. Or maybe you do feel it more. I'm not in your body, I can't say. I know that if I do a lot of those, I really feel it. So let's bring the knees back together, and you can roll back onto your back. And again, just organize yourself so that you feel aligned and your back in a comfortable position, and we'll bring the knees into the chest. So for this one, we'll stretch both legs toward the ceiling, arms to the sides or overhead, and then back in. And I'm just going to move this blanket out from behind my head because I don't find it comfortable. If you like it there, you can leave it. So inhaling, expanding, exhaling, drawing in. Good. Knees to chest. Pause there. And then release your feet to the floor. So this next posture, for most people, it has the effect of opening and bringing a little space into the area of the hip that we just worked to strengthen. So we'll take one ankle, bring it over the opposite thigh. And now some people feel it more in the inner thigh, some people feel it more in the outer thigh. So if you feel it more in the inner thigh or somewhere different, maybe even in the back of the thigh, that's perfectly fine. And if you want more stretch than just being in this position, bringing the legs closer to the body is the way to do that. So you can lift the leg off the floor and reach behind. If you've got a block or even a chair, you could place the leg on a chair or a foot on a block. If you have a belt or a sock even, you can extend your reach by holding the belt or the sock behind your leg and holding your hands. So find, the distance that works best for you. And then we'll stay there for a few breaths. So as you breathe, see if you can feel the breath moving into wherever you feel the stretch. So it could be outer hip, as I said, that's where many people feel the stretch. Could be inner or back of the thigh. So noticing maybe the stretch changes a little when you inhale to when you exhale. Maybe you don't notice much sensation at all, or maybe it just always feels tight, always feels relaxed. So whatever you discover, whatever you notice is really the key here, not about finding the right answer. Let's release the side. You can take the leg that was up in the air and stretch it out, the one that was crossed over, stretch it out, and just wave your foot side to side a few times. The whole leg, really. Turning the foot in and out. Good. And then shake the leg. And then we'll bend that knee again. And place the other ankle over the thigh above the knee. And again, any version of this pose that works for you. Another possibility I didn't mention was just to hold the leg, bring it in towards your body, holding on. That might be another option for some of you. But finding whatever version gives you enough stretch to feel something, but not so much that there's tension or it feels painful or you have to kind of hold your body in a funny way to relieve some of the pressure. And then once you find the position that works for you, come back to your breath. Notice and feel where the stretch is in your body. Does it change when you breathe? If you rock from one side a little bit to the other, you might find also the stretch changes a bit. So be curious, be interested, notice what's going on in this body that I live in. Right, and then eventually you'll release, bring the feet both to the floor. Take your arms to your sides. Take a breath in and reach the arms behind you toward the floor. As you exhale, you can engage your core, bring your knees to your chest, bring your hands over your knees, or you can clasp your hands or hold a wrist over your legs, or just hold the knees if that's better. And take a few breaths here. If you like, you can rock a little side to side or circle the knees. So from here, we are going to start to wind things down for relaxation or shavasana to continue with the class. So if there's any other movement you want to do, you're going to stay lying down. I'm just sitting because it's a little more comfortable for me to talk and sit. And you can have your knees bent or your legs straight or whatever feels right for you. Even if your lower back feels a little bit a little bit tight or uncomfortable, sometimes putting the legs on a chair or over the on the couch can bring a little more ease to the lower back. So whatever works. You've got more props in some ways at home and less props in some ways. So once you establish your comfortable position, come back to your breath. Start to focus a little bit more attention on the exhalation, the phase of the breath where we let go of tension. So as you exhale, let your body soften and sink down. Let go around the jaw. Even relax your tongue, your lips. Let the weight of your head be a little heavier. And see if you can feel the muscles at the base of your skull and down the back of your neck releasing and relaxing. Let the area around your eyes soften, forehead. Exhale, let your shoulders drop a little more. There's nothing you need to do right now. Let go of any ideas of what you could or should be doing. If you find your mind wandering and drawing your attention away, sometimes using the breath as an anchor is helpful. So you just bring your attention back every time it wanders, even if it's every second breath. Drop down through the arms and really check in with your hands. Could your hands be more relaxed? Could you let go? Letting go of the need to do anything, the need to produce or create anything right now. Exhale, feel the rib cage soften and sink down. Relax your belly and see if you can. Belly and lower back, letting go. And let the weight of your pelvis sink down. See if you can find a little more ease in your lower abdomen and all around the hips and buttocks, letting go. Let go of any holding in the thighs. We worked a lot with the legs today. Just see if you can bring more ease to the front of the thighs, the back of the thighs, the inner and outer thighs. And dropping down through the knees, calves and shins, ankles and feet, letting go. Exhale, drop down a little more. Scan your body for where you may be holding any tension and relax wherever else you need to or can. Well, I'd like to share a chant with you that is on the theme of peace. And amongst other things in this chant, it says that we can gain peace from the earth, peace from the plants, the nourishment of the earth, from the fire, the sun, and being generally in nature. So most of us have the ability to be outside. And perhaps you've come to appreciate these small blessings in this time of how much peace we can gain from being out in nature. So if it helps you, you might imagine your favorite place in nature as you listen to the chant, or even just imagine how you feel when you're in some place special outside. Om Namo Brahmane Namo Astvagnaye Nama Prithvyai Nama Oshadhibhyaha Namo Vache Namo Vachaspataye Namo Vishnave Bruhate Karomi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. As you bring your awareness back to your breath, maybe invite the breath a little more deeply into the body now. Breathing in and out a little more fully. You can start to wiggle your fingers and toes and stretch and move in any way that would feel good to you. And then gradually, as you're ready, and of course, you're all at home, so you could ignore me and just continue with Shavasana if you like. But if you're ready to come back upright, you can roll onto your side and make your way to a seated position. So I got my dog right here. She was lying almost under the computer the whole time, being perfect. So come up to seated position. You can bring your hands together. Just take a moment to be grateful for whatever blessings are in your life right now. And again, let go of the need to be or do anything with this time. And if you do, that's a bonus. And if not, that is absolutely okay. Namaste.